Recap of the game. Obviously happy that we won the game, very much like the week before. Uh, think we left a lot of things out there, especially in the second half. We weathered a very difficult place to play, with, as much energy as I've ever been a part of. So kind of felt at one point it was like a scene from Gladiator, the movie in a Roman Coliseum. So I know our players kind of felt that and, did some things early that were unusual that happen in that type of environment a lot of times. It's a lot of stress that they put on us. And we were able to overcome that and hang on at the end. Very high play count game. We had offensive players play over 100 plays in the game. So we were already extremely beat up. We are not in good shape that way for this week. But it is what it is. People from somewhere got to step up.
Lane, just how's Matt feeling? They are so removed from that, and just kind of your thoughts on. I think he's the first person to carry the ball 30 times since in the past 14 years. Just kind of your thoughts on his performance.
Well, that's not a real stat that I'm excited about. I didn't know that in 14 years. We'd like that to be a running back and not our, 200-pound quarterback. So he's not in very good shape. Hasn't been for the last 2 days. So you guys know how we are on injuries. Hopefully he'll play, but I do not feel good about that right now.
Lane, obviously a lot of pre-existing relationship with Ed Orgeron, and obviously there's a lot going on at LSU right now. Just curious on your thoughts on how everything's kind of unfolded there the last couple of days.
Yeah, I don't know the details, of all that stuff and what went on. Obviously Ed, did a great job there, won a national championship. So I'm not really sure what happened here as of late. And it's crazy, they just beat a really good Florida team, when I'm sure not a lot of people gave them a chance, after the Kentucky game. So, it shows that they have great players and they can play really well. And they did that. I think to finish that, this is just, it's a profession that we've always been in, but now more than ever, it is so much, not just what have you done in the last year, it literally is what have you done Saturday. I just had this conversation with another head coach, just who's struggling a little bit, trying to motivate him. And, I just said, hey, every Sunday you're either a good or bad coach based off of that Saturday, and it switches. When I see a thing on SEC network that I walk by, or someone's, talking bad about Saban, after the A&M game as a coach, it just shows you where we're at.
Lane, you alluded to some guys having to step up. Dennis Jackson certainly looks like he's one of those guys. Your thoughts on how he played Saturday night, what he can bring to the offense, and also you alluded that Jake Springer, was the key to the defense, and your thoughts on how Jake played and what you're able to do now that he's back in the lineup.
Yeah, Jake did, played with phenomenal effort, for a guy who really hadn't done hardly anything for a month. And, I thought what we had talked about all offseason, even last season, down on our service team was Mark Robinson, Otis, and Springer, and would see them every day and say, hey, these guys, could arguably be our 3 best defensive players if they were playing, certainly among the top 4 probably. And they showed it Saturday. All 3 played really well. So it was awesome to see. And the first one about Danis, we needed guys to step up, made a huge play on the slant and go. Hopefully that builds his confidence. And again, that was a highly unusual place to play, that when it's sold out, that place is rocking anyway with everything combined. To be an offensive player, when a defensive player is not as big a deal because the noise, but for him to go into that environment and make a play like that, to me, builds confidence and tells us, hey, he should be able to do this, continue this, especially now as we come back home.
Lane, how close are you and Ed? Like, do y'all keep in contact? And does what happened yesterday make this an awkward week for you?
I mean, that doesn't make it awkward for me. I don't, just like last week, it seems like there's something every week. And so last week, our preparation had nothing to do with having Coach start before, and this week has nothing to do with relationship with Coach O. It's just one day at a time, preparing. And, like I told our team this morning in our team meeting, good's the enemy of great. And I feel like that's where we are right now. We do good things, and we get satisfied with them, and we don't do great things. We don't close that game out and, win in a 2-3 possession game like I feel like we should have in the second half. We get complacent. So I don't think anything about Coach O this week, any of that. We have a really good relationship. He's not a big talk on the phone all the time guy, as you can imagine, but he actually texted me, after their game Saturday, and so he's an awesome guy, phenomenal coach.
Lane, 2 last-second wins for the last couple of weeks, specifically last week in Tennessee. It was a raucous environment, arguably the most raucous environment you've been in as head coach here at Ole Miss. Looking forward to the games against Auburn, Mississippi State down the road, how does it play into the locker room in regards to being able to communicate offensively and defensively now that you've got this game behind you in that type of environment?
Well, that's not arguably, the craziest atmosphere since we've been at Ole Miss. I don't know how there's been much more anywhere for any team, with all the things combined in that game and how the crowd was, like I said, I mean, it's like a gladiator movie at one point, so I think that helps our players in the long run, as we go back on the road into other places, because to me, we played in the hardest environment with all the stuff going on that you possibly could.
We've seen you guys go to Luke a couple of times when that has his helmet pop off or when he goes down. Just where is your confidence in Luke right now, and where is he in his development compared to when he got here in the spring?
Luke was doing a great job, got set back, with an injury. Has battled back from that and missed a lot of time and reps with that. And really hasn't got a chance to go in there with any rhythm. He goes in for one play and the ball gets knocked down. So, we have good confidence in all of our backups.
What do you think you and the staff can do to try to address the penalty issues that have kind of been cropping up throughout the year?
We just continue to talk about it, show them the penalties this morning like we do every week. Critical penalties, a number of third down defensive penalties, a fourth down that we converted, offensive holding, major penalties in critical situations that completely changed the outcome of the game, how it was going.
Coach, 2 questions. Comment on how far Casey Kelly obviously has come since a knee injury in January to starting Saturday night. And number 2, LSU has not been able to run the football all year, and all of a sudden they found magic. Have you had a chance to even look at that film yet?
Yeah, LSU always has great players. They put it together in the run game last week. I mean, I saw the back running people over, looking like Leonard Fournette. So that's a challenge, obviously. I forgot the beginning question. Yeah, Casey really did a good job going in there. All of our injuries going on offensively and, really down, arguably at one point we're the top 2 tight ends to start the season, and then Casey coming back has helped us, and he played really well.
Lane, as you know, the program's obviously honoring Eli Manning at halftime. I was just wondering if you had a comment about that or comment about any interactions you've had with that family and the impact they've made on this.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, they're the university, the Manning family, and, have always had great respect for them. And, second place where the quarterback has played or been the head coach. So it'll be really cool Saturday. I tweeted something this morning. I mean, I would think this would be a very hot ticket. I get to go see Eli Manning and Matt Corral, so be a pretty cool thing Saturday.
Your name comes up in coaching stuff all the time. It's popped up in a lot of places since Ed was the announcement with Ed. Is that something that you have to address with your team ever? Is it something that you've had to address in recruiting when you have multiple weeks before the end of a season and this stuff's going to linger out there?
I don't think I've ever addressed that with the team. I think the team knows how we focus, 1 week, 1 day at a time. So I've never addressed that. Maybe I should, but we don't worry about things we can't control that are on the outside. Obviously, in recruiting, you always battle that. I feel like that every coach probably battles that, but especially ever since leaving Tennessee. So it is what it is, and we just work our way through it.
We saw some Jerrion in the game, but it was a lot of Henry and Snoop. Just kind of where was Jerrion at in terms of playing?
We had just gotten back from an injury, so got him in there. He did some good things, but you could tell he'd been off for a little bit, and so hopefully, it picks back up where he was. Obviously, we don't want our quarterback running 30 times. We don't even know if our quarterback's going to play this week, so our running backs need to step up.
Lane, we've talked a lot over the last 3 weeks about difficult environments to play in on the road. Outside of seating capacity, from your perspective, what needs to happen to give you guys a similar kind of home field advantage here?
I don't have that answer. Obviously our first year was COVID. You guys know how it is. I don't give coach speak. We've not felt that this year, anything like when we went to Alabama, what we had to deal with there offensively, or, last week in Tennessee. So that is what it is. I know it can be done because we felt it at Alabama when we were here however many years ago. We had issues communicating. The place was rocking. So it can definitely be done here. It would be awesome to have. It's a competitive advantage. That's why they call it home field advantage. And some places have more than others. So it's been done here. I've been on the other side of it.